Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this Youngblood Informational Open House. Name's RJ. I'm the program director of Youngblood. Here with Graham Gillis. He's on one of these sides. Co-artistic director of the Ensemble Studio Theater. We're going to turn it over to our panel in just a moment, but I just wanted to give the logistics that applications are open. I will put the link to that application site in the chat. They are open through February 28th. And during the course of this open house session, if you have questions for the group, there should be a Q&A button available. And you can click that and put questions there, and we will attempt to get those answered for you. Graham, can you tell folks a little bit about how this is going to run?
Playwrights run this. We like for the Youngblood writers to interact directly as possible with the applicants. So RJ and I will be in the background. We'll hop on the Q&A feature if there are logistical questions, but otherwise, yeah, it's Youngblood's show. So without further ado, we will give over to Youngblood. Here they come. Come on, Youngblood.
Hooray.
Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Shall we go around the Zoom and quickly introduce who we are before we get into it?
Great idea. Great leadership, Graham.
Great. I love to be a leader in the community. Hi, I'm Graham, and I'm a member of Youngblood in my second year.
Hi, I'm Susan, and I'm a member of Youngblood in my third and sadly final year. Danny, do you want to go next? Because you're next to my screen.
Yeah, hello, Danny, he, him, playwrights. Also my last year of Youngblood. Third year. And Popcorn, Brysen.
Yes, I'm Brysen. This is my fourth year, but it's not my final year yet. Next year is my final year, I think. Yes.
Hello.
Oh, sorry,
I
May.
will go next. Hi, my name is May. She, her pronouns. I'm also in my second year. Yes. Morgan, do you want to round us off?
Wow, honored to be picked, May. Thank you. I'm Morgan. I use she, her, hers pronouns. And this is my very first year as a member of Youngblood. That's it.
So I guess we're gonna talk about some of the different parts of Youngblood. Maybe I will start. I think I'm starting. Is that right, friends? Yes. So yeah, so I'm gonna tell you all about meetings, which is sort of a core part of Youngblood. We meet every Wednesday at 7 at EST, Ensemble Studio Theater. And someone shares a play and we hear it out loud and we discuss it. It's just an amazing thing. It's we I don't know what to say about it. It's great. I feel like it's for me the most important part of Youngblood. It's like changed my life to have that sort of like regularity in my life. Yeah, usually those meetings start with we talk about things we've seen, sort of in the broader theater community. We have snacks sometimes, then we hear play, and then we give feedback. And it's always like a very supportive, warm room. And then sometimes we go out to a bar after, and that is great too. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else about meetings that I'm missing?
We read the parts in each other's plays ourselves, like where the plays are cast with whoever is there.
Yes. it's also after being in the group for 2.5 years now, I feel like it's so cool to see some of the plays go on to have a life in the world outside of Youngblood. That's been like a really special part of it.
Did we say that anyone can sign up for a slot at any time? Yes. So you can, so whenever there's a meeting, you can sign up for a slot, whether it be like within a few weeks or a month, but like if it's open, you can sign up and have your play read.
And there's not like it's not like you're allotted a certain, there's no like strict rules around like, how long has it been since the last time you shared? What are you sharing? Like, it doesn't have to be complete. Sometimes people will just bring in like the first 30 pages of a play and get feedback on what it is so far. It's all very bespoke.
And
I
oh,
was just going to say that also applies to the process of getting feedback. It is up to the writer to choose how they get feedback. And, they can, there's kind of like a basic template we use, but they can sort of customize it any way they want or just completely do something totally different. So like you can decide how you want feedback based on like, are you bringing in like the first 30 pages of a brand new project, or are you bringing in like your life's work that you've been working on for a decade? I don't know. But it's nice to have that flexibility to decide what kind of feedback you need.
Yeah, and I'll say it's a supportive room in that way too. If you're a person like me who like often will feel like I really only I can get kind of intense about I only want feedback in these exact ways, and like the room always like understands where you're coming from and is here for you, and it isn't trying to like it's not one of those rooms where you're like you just wanted to say that even though that wasn't feedback I really wanted. People are just so great.
Right.
Should we move to brunch? Is that cool? So one of the things that we do in Youngblood is brunch. We do it. I guess it's probably like 6 months out of the year. RJ and Greg can correct me, but sort of the first or second Sunday of the month, there's a performance that you can buy tickets to and come to. Of 5 new short plays written by members of Youngblood on a theme. Sometimes the theme is more vague and sometimes it's more specific. Whatever feels fun. And importantly, brunch is served there and is free with the price of admission and mimosas and everything. And it's a really fun event that you should come to if you can. But it's a really important part of what kind of makes Youngblood unique and special and cool. It's the brunch plays, we write them for the brunch. It might be something you've been thinking about and like working on, and this is an opportunity to experiment. Or it might be something that you write just for the brunch and that's all you want to do with it. But brunches are fully staged, actors are off book, they're in costume, they're props, there's a set. It's it's the set of whatever the play that's going on at EST is right now, which sometimes creates cool contrasts and fun opportunities. But it's like totally embodied in a way that very little is for us early career playwrights. So many of the pretty much all of the opportunities we are given are at music stands. And speaking certainly for myself, like brunch was like my first opportunity as a like professional playwright to come in and get to go through an abridged production process, but an actual production process. We rehearse for about a few times. Like the process itself is like about a week long. It's a really it's so fun. It's like the most fun thing in the whole world, and also so artistically fulfilling. and a really good opportunity to meet new artists and work with artists that you've been wanting to work with. My first brunch, I came in and I was like, I know that this part must be played by my friend Avery Deutsch, and that was who I cast. And the theater didn't know her so well, but like that was totally fine. And I was like, I have no idea who I want to direct my work. And RJ and Graham like connected me with a director who has turned out to be an incredible collaborator that I've continued to work with. So yeah, that's kind of it. Other people should jump in if they have more to say.
Feel like you covered everything. I mean, I would just say, yeah, those plays can be anything, right? It's not like they have to fit a specific mold or tone or style. It really is like an opportunity to experiment and try something up on its feet, which, yeah, I think like Susan said is like so rare, like to get little productions, basically.
I think Graham is next to talk about Bloodwork.
Yeah. Can you guys hear the vacuum cleaner in the background of my life? Awesome. That's just something I get to keep to myself then. Yeah, the next thing we're gonna talk about is Bloodworks, which is the annual reading series that Youngblood puts on in the spring, close to the end of the academic year for Youngblood. What that entails is basically you put on a staged reading of one of your plays, typically something you've been working on throughout the year, and this is your opportunity to kind of show it to people. There are all different kinds of ways that you can do that. You can do that as just it's exactly like a normal meeting, closed to members, and we're just calling it Bloodworks. You can do it. It's exactly like a normal meeting, except there are actors reading instead of fellow playwrights. Or you can do a private staged reading at the theater or a public stage reading at the theater. Much like every other element of the program, it's very much built around what you need from it. And this whole process usually takes about a month of regular readings from your fellow Youngblood playwrights. And it's great. You can ask a director who you've wanted to work with or are already working with to direct it. You can cast it with people you've always wanted to hear read it out loud, or you can, much like the brunches, like use it as an opportunity to meet some new artists to work with. You can do it during the daytime, which is generally a friendlier time to industry people in the theater industry, theoretically. Or you can do it in the evening instead. It's really whatever you want. Anything else I'm missing about the Bloodworks process?
I mean, I think this is implicit in what you said, but there's sort of an implied structure to the whole year of meetings and Bloodworks that you're kind of working on something, and that is the thing that then you present at the end of the year in
Right.
Bloodwork. But I mean, if that's not what you want to do, that's fine. There's no like rules, but if you if you like me find that a useful structure to your writing life, like knowing, okay, at some point, I'm going to share a new play in May, so I'd better do a share date at some point in between now and then that is a really, really useful thing that comes out of being in Youngblood.
And it's not mandatory. Like you do not have to end the year with a new play for Bloodworks, but it's a rare opportunity, and generally people find a way to take advantage of it. And yeah. It's also a really good excuse to remind people that you exist, even if they don't come to see your play. just to send someone an email and be like, hey, you're not going to come, but it's happening. And therefore I still exist. I'm going to pop this one over to Brysen to talk about our next topic on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot retreat was after that.
No.
So yeah, so another component of Youngblood is retreat, which I think I've been on two. I think so. But so basically Youngblood usually works in line with an academic year. So new members generally, well, they used to join in like September, but now sometimes that's a little bit later, but they'll join in the fall, and then we'll have regular meetings and everything through the spring. And then, like we were just talking about, we'll have Bloodworks in May or June or whatever at the end of our young blood year. And then typically in like August, all of us, and like I should also say that like maybe we already said this, but like there's no mandatory number of meetings that you need to attend. And so, you know, a lot of the playwrights in Youngblood are quite busy. Or some of us are busy, some of us are not busy. It does not matter. But like you can come to as many meetings or as little meetings as you want. But generally during retreat, people we have found or whatever that playwrights really try to come to that. And so you'll often see playwrights who are in the group that you have never met before, or who possibly live in LA or a different country now, but they're like, oh, I'm in New York during August. Like I would like, which I don't know why someone would want that, but often people are. And then we all go upstate together, and you know, we have like they rent a house and stuff, and then we all spend a week, or you know, if you can't stay a week, you can spend a few days up in this house hanging out. During this time, you know, we all make meals together, commiserate, you know, people go on hikes. I don't do that, but you know, it's a lovely time. And then also at night, there are often like reading slots. So you can sign up for like a slot for your play to be read, just like we would have at a normal meeting, except this time it's in a cabin, like in the wilderness, you know, with wine or whatever. And then a fire is usually built too. So yeah. Did I miss anything? Okay.
I'm gonna move us right along to talk about ensemble studio theater. So you may be sitting there thinking, great, I got it. Youngblood is a writers group. I now know everything about how it works. But what is this ensemble studio theater that runs Youngblood? And it is a very special place. It was founded in 1968. And it has kind of been a beacon of off-Broadway since its inception, like through the 70s and 80s all the way to now. It kind of has had this legendary you know, reputation among artists as this place that just goes above and beyond to support new work. It's also credited with reviving interest in the one-act play through the marathon of one-act plays. And I think that kind of speaks to a larger thing that I think makes EST special, which is that it's really a theater with a lot of opportunities to just make something short, whether it's like a one-act play or a brunch play, or we do this thing called Asking for Trouble, which I think you'll hear about in a bit. There's a lot of opportunities to just like make something quick and dirty and like get it up on its feet with actors and get it in front of an audience. And I find that really liberating. If you're someone like me who like sits on their plays until they're like absolutely perfect and doesn't like to share them with an audience until then, like it's really, really good for me to just like be able to constantly create in a low stakes way. And that like I always get my best ideas for my like longer plays that I'm working on when I'm like watching a brunch and or like watching and Asking for Trouble, and like, you know, seeing all these like scrappy ideas that my friends have come up with or that I've been asked to come up with. So I think that's something that makes EST really special. And the other thing that makes it really special is that there is an ensemble, as the name would suggest, of about 700 member artists. And this ranges from people who are like, in Youngblood and they're maybe more early career to people who have kind of had like long and starry careers. It's actors, directors, writers. It's really just such a wide range of artists, and they like really show up for each other and they really show up for EST. So like when you go to a brunch, you're just like meeting all these other affiliated artists. And like it's also really great because like, for example, I had a brunch play that required 3 actors in their like 60s or 70s, and I was like, wow, like I don't have anyone in my personal circle who fits that bill. And EST was like, no problem, we have exactly the actors for you. So it was really great to be connected to artists who wouldn't be in my normal circle. But just in general, I think more than other theaters, EST does a really great job at connecting writers to actors and directors and really making them feel like they're all part of the same community. I think we all can think of many actors and directors who feel like honorary members of Youngblood, even though they have never written a play. And I think that sense of camaraderie and collaboration is really, really special. EST also has a relationship with the Sloan Foundation, which is kind of like special and unique. And I'm going to pass it back to Brysen to talk about that.
Yes, so that's true. So there's 2 ways, the 2 major ways that EST and or Youngblood interact with the Sloan Foundation. As a whole, EST interacts with the Sloan Foundation through like their commissions for science plays, and so that one is open to everyone, right? Everyone can do that, right? Yeah. So everyone can do that. So you submit a proposal for a science play. I told this in the wrong order, actually. There's a second way that you can interact with it, which is the way that I've done it, is that like in Youngblood, we have these things called brunches, and one brunch every year is dedicated to be a Sloan brunch. And so those mini plays have to be science plays. And so we submit a proposal to RJ and Graham, and they pick, I don't know who, I'm guessing they pick, but like they pick the plays that will be done during Sloan. Those 20-minute plays are done during brunch, which is lovely. And so I had one of those plays my first year, I think, in Youngblood. The following year came for the open call for Sloan commissions for a full length. And so I took my brunch play about orca whales and I said, hey, I would like to make this longer. And so I submitted that play along with a proposal to EST, and then EST and the Sloan Foundation chose me to like pay me to make that a full length. So that was the way that I got my Sloan commission, but you need not do it that way. Like you can just like do a regular Sloan commission, or you can just do a Sloan brunch. You don't have to do both, but both do pay you. But I will say that the open call submission or the open call commission pays more than the Sloan brunch, which is like $500 or something. Yeah. Did I miss anything? No? Okay. So then who's next? I can't see my chat because I'm on my phone. So
It's me, don't worry. I'm just gonna talk about applications, both like the literal physical application, I guess not physical, digital application you're gonna submit, and then also a little bit about what they're looking for in the application. And yeah, I guess the components are you need a 25-page excerpt of a play. It could be like a full-length play. I don't think it really matters what the excerpt is from. You're going to write a letter, and I'll say a little bit more about it, but you're going to write a letter that's basically your why Youngblood letter. You're going to submit a resume, although I've been assured that this is basically irrelevant, but I think, still submit it, obviously. And then if you're selected to be a finalist, you will also submit a full-length play, and it can be the same play as the 25-page excerpt, or it could be a completely separate, unrelated play. And then, yeah, if you're, well, sorry, let me say, your application, your 25-page excerpt gets read by 3 current members, and it's like anonymized. And then a third of them are read by a co-AD, a co-artistic director of EST, and then finalists get read by both the co-artistic directors, and they get interviewed. Yeah, I guess that's the overview of it. So I guess I'll speak a little bit more about that why Youngblood letter, because I feel like that's the thing people are going to have questions about. I guess the content of it is really like, who are you as a person? Who are you as an artist? What do you want out of being a member of Youngblood? And then also, what do you feel that you bring to being a member of Youngblood? And that's also sort of what the content of my interview was me just like sort of expanding upon those things that I'd written in my Why Youngblood letter. And then I've been informed that there's, sort of an extra explicit element this time around, which is that you could also speak to why you define yourself as an early career playwright, because that's, sort of the conceit of Youngblood. If there's anything that I'm like glaringly missing about applications, my fellow panelists, please jump in.
Well, there was one thing that when we were just planning what we were going to say before that occurred to me to say, which is that I feel like as you're thinking about the Why Youngblood letter, and about like, because Youngblood there's no particular style or genre or whatever, any kind of playwright can be in Youngblood. And I think that's true of the letter also. I feel like we all apply to things, know what the trying to game something out and be like, okay, I think they want someone who's more like cool or and fun, and not, so my letter will be cash and low key, or I think they want someone who seems really professional. Like the letter can be is whatever you're like is what the letter can be like. There's no like, don't worry too much about trying to like write the letter that you think that Youngblood wants. We just want to know about you.
Yeah, I would expand on that by saying that the letter is also like, I think with many other programs that one might apply to, they would ask for like an artistic statement, and I would say that the Why Youngblood letter is sort of not really an artistic statement, which is not to say that it's not a place where you can voice some of the things that you would voice in an artistic statement, but you don't really need to worry about like summarizing or presenting yourself in this really kind of application cohesive way. I would like personally, like I applied to Youngblood a bunch of times before I got into the group, and every year was like slamming my head against a wall trying to like come up with the best angle for my Why Youngblood letter. And then the year I finally got in was the year that my Why Youngblood letter was like, listen, man, I don't know. I don't know, Youngblood, and this is the reason why I want to do these things that it offers that we've just been talking about. And here's why I'd want to take advantage of those resources. Here's why I don't have those resources in my normal life, and is more colloquial than I had written those in the past. I don't know if that was the thing that changed my luck, but who knows? Maybe it was.
Yeah, I
Mine was
certainly think, um, like speaking specifically to like the things we've just mentioned, like the meetings and the brunches and the retreat and like the blood works, and like why those specific activities will like fill a need for you, I think can be a really successful strategy.
Brysen, what was in your Why Youngblood letter?
no, nothing. Mine was just that mine was quite colloquial too. So I was very casual with it. We did mention several times this thing called asking for trouble. And does anyone want to talk about that just so that we don't lose that? Or I can talk about it. But it kind of goes with the application, I guess. Asking for trouble is like, once you get into the group, It's the first thing that we do, and it's like a 10-minute little play festival. Historically, they've brought actors in, but we don't do that anymore. But it's like, the new members and the not old members, new members and current members all write 10-minute plays, and then we perform them like in your second meeting of Youngblood or whatever. But it's a cute little introduction once you've gone through the application and interview process.
It also just occurred to me that we could talk about, in terms of the application, I mean, because we all have read applications and maybe have things we would want to share with the attendees of this webinar about what we've learned about the 25-page play samples. I didn't do big picture stuff. Mainly, the big one for me is that it should be 25 pages and not a different length. And I don't know, just if there was anything anyone wanted to say.
Yeah, make sure they're good. Like if the better they are, the more we'll like them, and that's good to keep in mind. And I would actually, I mean, they do not, the 25 pages that you excerpt, or it could be just a 25-page, one act in its entirety for that application. I believe RJ Graham, like, correct me if I'm wrong, they do not have to be the first 25 pages of said play.
That is correct.
Though I think, and I'm speaking only for myself and not for the organization when I say this, that being mindful of like what information you're skipping over if you are not starting with page one is helpful to the readers who are reading a lot of these applications. And I think sometimes I've found in applications that don't start on page one for that excerpt, like some taking for granted of like what I'll already know about the play going into it in order to really appreciate pages, 10 through 35 or whatever it may be. You're allowed to put like a little, summary of previously on at the top. You're allowed to, and I would, if you do not want to use the first pages of your play for that sample, to remember that and to hold our hand a little bit into your sample so that we can appreciate it on the terms that you want us to appreciate it on and that it deserves to be appreciated on.
Yeah, I would say like do something that showcases your voice. Like that feels really obvious, but like it doesn't have to be like the most climactic or exciting moment of the play as much as something that showcases like if you are really proud of like how you write characters, like do something that shows some character development. If you're really proud of like your sense of humor, like choose a funny passage. Like I think it really is just about like I think when I read a sample, it's less about like, oh, do I like this or do I not? Or just like, and it's more about like, can I get a sense of who this person is as a writer from this sample?
I also think, I mean, just something that's coming to mind for me, and this is totally me speaking as being not as EST, is like, just, I feel it's important to say, like, it's not a perfect meritocracy. Like, there's just a huge element of luck in these applications, and like, who reads your application? And, I think it's like worth reapplying to Youngblood if you don't get in once. And yeah, ultimately, like, art is subjective, right? So,
That's true. I would say that it's like not representative of your work if you don't get it most of the time. It's like just whoever read your thing and like, yeah, luck.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially performing for an audience for that first round. You're performing for an audience of three, and if you can imagine, just like three people in various seats of a otherwise empty theater watching a play, and having different reactions to it. take whatever happens about as personally as you'd take those 3 reactions in a non-digital forum.
I also, I think Morgan said this, but yeah, the group used to be 30 years and under. It's now open to all ages, or you have to self-define as early career. So just wanted to say that in case we hadn't said it.
Should we do Q&A? Is this
I
the
think we,
moment?
yeah.
Okay, guys, hit us with your questions.
I guess first, as there are not yet any questions in the Q&A, we should ask if somebody can put in a question just to make sure the Q&A function is working. I would hate for the panelists to be sitting there being like, I'm mutely protesting the fact that there is no Q&A. So if anybody feels so motivated, if you can pop a question in, even if it is a question that just says, hi, the Q&A works.
If this has all been like backstage, we're not even live yet.
And
There
we're
we
just
go.
doing this for each other's benefit.
No, anonymous attendee. There we go.
Oh, right.
So the question is, can the 25-page sample consist of more than one piece, like 2 short plays? I imagine the answer is yes, but maybe the answer is no. Oh, RJ says he's going to answer.
Yeah, the answer is yes. If you feel like that is what best represents you as a writer, then you can do that.
I've never seen that. I would like that. I would like 2 10-minute plays as a reader, but anyway, you don't have to.
I'm skipping the question RJ is typing an answer to. A question about whether it's okay for the 25 pages to be from a solo show. Yes, I have read applications that are from a solo show. You do get kind of, I guess, more bang for your buck that way in some ways. So, keep that in mind.
Maeve Chapman asks, not to call out the person who asked the question like it was a radio show. Sorry, Maeve. Does it matter if you submit earlier or closer to the deadline? And Maeve thanks us, and you're welcome, Maeve. It does not. There's no. I do not believe that EST caps the submissions at any number the way other programs might. You can you can submit at 11:59 on the deadline if you're really down to it. For your sanity and peace of mind, I'd recommend doing it before that, just so you're not stressed out about it, but it doesn't have any material influence on how your application is received.
There was one question that RJ answered the actual question of would a character description page count within the 25-page count, and RJ has answered that no, it doesn't. But just that what that made me think of is do you remember that like a human being, like it's a PDF and a human being is going to open it and read it? I get this way with applications, so maybe this is just reassurance I need to hear. But like if you write, you can write if it's not the first 10 pages of the 25 pages of the play and you want to like add a note, the human being will read the note. So you're just writing to a human being who really wants this to go well for you and really wants to enjoy the thing they're about to read. So I would say like just don't feel like, well, there's a rule and it will get cut off if I don't, just do 25 pages that we can read and enjoy.
I think RJ is answering the question of who makes up the reader pool, especially for round 1. But just to say it out loud, 3 members of Youngblood, we all participate in the selection process in the first round. So, you know, totally anonymous, totally randomized. Yeah.
If you want to ask any more questions and you're nervous about us reading your names out, I promise not to do that again. I swear.
Covered every question.
Or if you want us to read your name out, you can say it and we will.
Great question. Who wants to take it?
We just 5-minute warning from RJ.
Oh, okay, thanks.
I can take it. I don't know what an early career playwright is. It's hard to say, I would say. I think that honestly, if you don't have an off-Broadway debut, or if you don't have a major regional debut, you're probably like early career playwright. Because like when I got into, because my friends have gotten into this group and had absolutely no plays done. But when I got into the group, I got my MFA and I had plays done already. So yeah, but I was 24. So that age, I feel like, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't say that age matters because there are 23-year-olds that seem to have plays. So I don't know.
There is no if it is a question you're like stressing out about, there is no industry standard definition for what constitute an early career playwright as opposed to a mid-career or established playwright. So if you articulate why you feel that you are an early career playwright in the letter, it's not like that answer is being run against some sort of like metric that you could potentially fail. I think not to speak for Graham and RJ, but I think they're just interested to hear your thoughts on this. And again, it's part of the kind of getting to know you process to hear why someone considers themselves to be at that point in their career is an illustrative way to get to know how they think about things. And that's a big part of the applications generally. So if you're super stressed out about it, I would not let this, I would not, don't stress out about it. It's not a big deal.
I will also say, I think a good question to ask yourself is like, yes, you don't have to come to every meeting, and we understand that, you know, life happens, but there are meetings every week, and there are brunches, you know, almost every month, and there's retreat, and like Youngblood is a big time commitment. And I think the real question to ask yourself is, do I have the time and energy and capacity to get the most out of this? Because I think like you don't have to come to anything. Nothing is mandatory. No one will shame you if you don't attend something, but like you really will get the most out of it the more you put into it and the more you show up. And it's also just like a sign of respect to your fellow group members to actually show up for their readings and be acquainted with their work as much as possible so that you know, when they show up for your readings, it's all reciprocal and you're all very familiar with each other's writing. So I would just ask yourself, like, are you going to come to the weekly meetings? Are you going to come to the brunches? Do you want that level of commitment to something? And like, your life might change over the course of your like 3+ years in Youngblood, and that's totally fine. And everyone like welcomes and expects that. But like, I think demonstrating that sort of honest commitment is part of, you know, figuring out like, am I at the stage of my life, whether I'm early career or whatever, like, am I at the stage of my life where I could really make the most out of Youngblood?
Well said.
That's true. And I'll say that Youngblood leads to a lot of other things beyond just like what we said. Like 2 years ago, I went to Scotland with RJ, and we spent like a month or like three weeks over there. And then with Scottish playwrights, and the Scottish playwrights came here. And technically that had nothing to do with Youngblood whatsoever. But it was like this thing that EST just randomly, well, RJ could speak to its origin, but like I would have never gone to Scotland if it weren't for that. So there's all these other random opportunities that come along through this group too. And often people share free theater tickets, which is nice too.
That is true. I think it was answered in the chat, but just to reiterate, it was asked whether the Youngblood members who read your sample in the first round also look at your resume and your Why Youngblood letter, and we do not. We have no idea who you are or who you might be or how you feel about anything that isn't articulated in the play itself.
But those are read in the first round of everybody, because I read those as
yes.
program
RJ reads them. We do not. Yeah.
I just want to echo, just to agree with and champion what May said. I think that's so true. And one just like example of what that means is that in talking about Bloodworks, we mentioned it's like a month long, where like every week there's a reading or 2 readings, and a big part of that is that we show up for each other. And like it might be, you know, maybe you probably can't go to every single reading. I certainly do try, but it's not always possible. But like that is, you know, it would feel crappy if it was like we all have a reading and then nobody showed up to anyone else's reading, right? Like that's not the culture of this, what the thing is. And so I think it's not that it's like don't join Youngblood unless you can go to 100 readings in June, but like it's more, are you excited about like making a commitment to try to show up for other people, and do you feel like you're in a place in your career where that's something you have time for?
I agree with that. And I also think in terms of like, I thought about this a lot when I was trying to think of like why Youngblood specifically. The letter is not necessarily asking you to like advocate for why you want to be in this group as opposed to other playwriting groups at other theaters or other programs for emerging playwrights or other grad schools or residencies or anything that are different. But Youngblood does provide like an unusually high level of regular interface with other playwrights and talking about new writing specifically. You very well might be applying and be someone who is like, I am a theater person. I am going to plays all the time. I know lots of playwrights, other playwrights, and I talk to them about plays all the time. And this still might be like a significant increase in your amount of like interface with that kind of thing. And that's one of the things that Youngblood provides that might be worth considering as you try to articulate your interest in the group. I personally felt that that was a huge difference in my life after I got into Youngblood, was being around other writers who thought the same way as I did, or who thought very differently than I did about certain things, and getting to hash out those ideas with your friends all the time is one of the real benefits of membership outside of all the other stuff we talked about.
I'm going to unmute first, but I'm going to jump on and thank all of our panelists for what a wonderful session. And thank you all for sharing your insights and your knowledge and your experience of being in Youngblood. And thank you to all the attendees. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your time and attention. We look forward to seeing your applications. You can reach out anytime if there's something that you wish you had asked. You can reach out to Youngblood at ensemblestudiotheater.org. The application, wait, I promised I would put it in the chat and I haven't yet. And I'm going to put it on now to everyone. But yeah, it is estnyc.org, estnyc.org, or ensemblestudiotheater.org, and it is under the drop down that says programs, Youngblood, apply. And the application is there, and soon a recording of this very webinar will be there. Huge thanks to our 6 panelists again. It really it's wonderful. It's wonderful every year to get to watch young blood members define their experience of young blood. It's so great. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for the thank you in the chat. We're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for coming, and yeah, please apply. We look forward to seeing your work. Talk to you soon.